Introduction. When was the last time you truly focused on yourself? Without guilt, without distraction, and without trying to impress anyone? Be honest. Most people spend their entire lives trying to be everything for everyone, but they forget to be something for themselves. You're tired. You scroll more than you sleep. You compare more than you create. You're chasing goals, but they're not even yours. You've got dreams, but no focus. You've got potential, but no process. And the worst part? You know deep down you're capable of so much more. But something keeps pulling you away from you. That ends now. This book isn't about motivation. It's not about feeling good. It's about locking in, leveling up, and winning silently until the world has no choice but to notice. It's about rebuilding your mind, your habits, and your focus, so you finally become the person you were meant to be. No more distractions, no more noise, no more waiting. Here's what this book will give you: a mental detox from other people's opinions, clarity on who you are and what you want, habits that build confidence even on your worst days, strategies to kill overthinking, fear, and comparison, the mindset of winners who don't talk, they execute. This book is your permission slip to focus on you until you become undeniable. If you're serious about changing your life, this is your wake-up call. Now turn the page. Your focus is waiting. Your future is watching. Let's win. Before you start, make sure to subscribe to our channel to become 1% better every day. Chapter 1. Cut the noise. Have you ever had a day where you didn't scroll your phone, reply to unnecessary messages, or check what others were doing, and suddenly everything felt quieter, clearer, and lighter? That's not a coincidence. That's focus. And it's slowly being killed by noise. We live in the loudest generation in human history. Everyone is talking, posting, sharing, reposting. You open your phone, and before your feet even touch the floor in the morning, you're already seeing who got promoted, who started a business, who's getting married, and who bought a car. And just like that, your brain is hijacked. Before you've even started your day, you've already started comparing. The problem? That noise becomes your reality. You start chasing what looks shiny instead of what you actually want. Your dreams get buried under opinions. Your mind becomes busy, but not productive. That's why you must learn to cut the noise. Because until you do, you'll keep living on autopilot, driven by other people's goals, not yours. Let's start with the obvious: social media, the modern distraction disguised as connection. You scroll thinking you're relaxing, but every swipe is rewiring your brain. Every success story you see from someone else makes you doubt your own path just a little more. You don't notice it at first, but slowly you stop trusting your instincts. You start hesitating. You wait for confirmation from the outside before you move. That's not growth. That's self-abandonment. Here's the truth. Nobody's coming to rescue you. No viral reel is going to change your life. No motivational quote is going to build your business, fix your mindset, or heal your wounds. You have to shut out the noise long enough to hear yourself again. People today don't fear failure as much as they fear being judged for failing. That's the real noise, the fear of other people's opinions. What will they think if I start this business and it doesn't work? What if I launch this idea and no one buys? What if I post this and nobody reacts? So you don't start. You stay stuck, safe, silent. But here's the thing about opinions. They don't pay your bills. They don't build your habits. They don't improve your life. So why are you giving them VIP access to your brain? Cutting the noise doesn't just mean logging out of social media. It means removing access from people, platforms, and patterns that drain your mental energy. It means unfollowing those who trigger comparison, muting conversations that go nowhere, and turning your phone off on purpose. Not because your battery died, but because your mind deserves better. You have to reclaim your brain from the algorithm. Let me ask you something. How much time do you spend consuming versus creating, scrolling versus building, listening to noise versus listening to your own thoughts? The most successful people in the world aren't smarter than you. They're just less distracted. They create more than they consume. They protect their attention like it's gold, because it is. They know focus is a superpower in a world addicted to distraction. You can't create your dream life with a scattered mind. You need deep focus. That kind of focus only comes when you intentionally build silence into your day. Start with 30 minutes, a day with zero input, no phone, no music, no screen, just your thoughts, a notebook, or nothing at all. At first, it'll feel weird. Your brain will crave noise because that's what it's been fed. But sit in that discomfort. That silence, that's where self-awareness is born. That's where clarity shows up. Most people don't know what they want because they're too busy listening to what everyone else wants. You can't know your purpose if you're drowning in distraction. That's why silence is the real secret weapon of the mentally strong. While others scroll, you think. While others react, you plan. While others chase trends, you build timeless skills. Here's what nobody tells you. If you don't control your inputs, you'll never control your outcomes. Let's talk about people for a second. Some noise doesn't come from your phone. It comes from the people you allow in your life. Friends who only call when they want to gossip. Family members who project their fear onto your goals. Coworkers who always talk but never do. That's noise too. And here's a hard truth. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Protecting your peace doesn't make you rude. It makes you smart. You're not obligated to explain your journey to everyone. You're not responsible for making others comfortable with your ambition. You're here to grow, not to prove. Learn to say no without guilt. Learn to walk away without drama. Learn to be unavailable for conversations that keep you average. When you stop entertaining every voice, you start hearing the right one, your own. And what about mental noise? The endless loop of overthinking, what-ifs, and imaginary arguments in your head. That's one of the hardest types of noise to escape, because it's internal. But even that can be controlled. Train your brain to be quiet. Meditation, journaling, walks without music, time in nature, deep breathing. All of it rewires your mind to be still. You don't have to become a monk. You just need to build moments of peace into your day. Because when your mind is calm, your decisions are clear. You won't chase shortcuts. You won't beg for validation. You'll move with quiet, confidence, because your clarity drowns out the noise. Let me be real with you. Focus isn't sexy. It's not flashy. It's not viral. But it's the one thing that can change your life faster than any hack, course, or app. Focus is how you go from dreaming to doing. Focus is how you go from potential to proof. Focus is how you win. But before you can focus, you have to filter. Filter what you hear. Filter who you follow. Filter what you consume. Filter what you allow in your space. Filter what you allow in your mind. Because if you don't protect your mental space, the world will pollute it with fear, doubt, and distractions. And slowly, you'll forget who you are. But not you. Not anymore. You're choosing to cut the noise. You're choosing stillness in a loud world. You're choosing clarity over chaos. And that choice, that's the beginning of everything. So here's your action for today. Delete the app. Unfollow the distraction. Mute the person. Turn off the noise. Even if it's just for a few hours. Let your mind breathe again. Let your own voice get louder than everyone else's. Because when you finally hear yourself, you'll know what to do next. And that's when the real progress begins. Chapter 2. The Mirror Test. When was the last time you looked in the mirror? Not to fix your hair or check your outfit, but to actually see yourself. Most people avoid it, not because they don't like their face, but because they're afraid of what's behind it, the truth, the real them. The mirror test isn't about physical appearance, it's about radical honesty. It's about looking into your own eyes and asking the hardest question of all. Am I proud of the life I'm building? For most, the answer is either a silent pause or a loud no, buried under excuses. And that's where transformation begins. The uncomfortable truth is, many of us are walking through life with blurry identities. We think we know who we are, but we've never sat down to really ask. We've inherited beliefs from family, habits from friends, fears from society, and never stopped to question them. That's why people feel lost even when they're busy. That's why they hit goals and still feel empty. That's why they wake up one day and wonder, how did I end up here? Because they skipped the mirror test. The world teaches us to chase everything, money, titles, likes, but it rarely teaches us to know ourselves. And here's the truth. If you don't understand who you are, you'll never know what truly fulfills you. You'll chase shadows instead of substance, and eventually, you'll crash. Let me tell you something most self-help books won't say. Self-awareness is the starting point of every transformation. You can't upgrade what you don't understand. You can't fix what you're not willing to face until you're brutally honest about your mindset, habits, fears, and patterns. Nothing will truly change, no matter how much motivation you consume. So let's take the test. Start by asking yourself, what are my current habits telling me about my priorities? Because habits don't lie. If you say health is important, but eat junk every night, your actions are louder than your words. If you say you want success, but scroll for hours instead of working, your identity hasn't caught up to your ambition. If you say you want confidence, but constantly compare yourself to others, you're reinforcing your own insecurity. That's what the mirror test reveals. The gap between what you say and what you do. And closing that gap, that's the work. One of the most powerful exercises I ever did was writing down my ideal self on one side of the paper and my current habits on the other. It was humbling because I realized I wasn't lazy. I was distracted. I wasn't untalented. I was undisciplined. I wasn't unlucky. I was inconsistent. And when you name the real problem, you finally take back your power. See, most people are stuck in a cycle of surface-level change. They try new routines, set new goals, buy new planners. But deep down, they're still the same person. Why? Because they've never shifted their identity. They're trying to act like a winner while thinking like a victim. They want results without changing their roots. But identity drives behavior. If you believe you're someone who always quits, you'll keep quitting, even with a better plan. If you believe you're not smart enough, you'll ignore opportunities that could prove you wrong. If you believe you're unworthy of success, you'll sabotage your own progress the moment things start going well. That's why mindset work isn't optional. It's essential. It starts with awareness, not judgment. Don't beat yourself up for your patterns. Observe them. Ask, where did I learn this? Why do I react like this? What fear is this covering up? You weren't born with these fears. You picked them up, maybe from a parent who criticized everything, maybe from a teacher who made you feel small, maybe from a failure that shattered your confidence. But here's the good news. If you learned it, you can unlearn it. Self-awareness isn't about blaming the past. It's about taking responsibility for the future. And here's the most life-changing truth I can offer. You can choose a new identity today. You're not stuck. You're not broken. You're just on autopilot. And the moment you become conscious of that, you can rewrite everything. Want to be confident? Start acting like someone who respects their own opinion more than the crowd's. Want to be successful? Start thinking like someone who takes full ownership, not someone who makes excuses. Want to be disciplined? Start moving like someone who doesn't negotiate with their emotions every morning. That's the magic of identity. It's built, not found. It's practiced, not inherited. The mirror test is uncomfortable. It forces you to admit that your current life is a reflection of your past choices. But it also empowers you to realize that your future life will be a reflection of today's decisions. It teaches you that your mindset isn't something you're born with. It's something you shape daily. Every belief you hold either builds you or breaks you. Every habit you repeat either moves you forward or holds you back. Every fear you entertain either protects you or paralyzes you. And the mirror doesn't lie. Sometimes what you see will hurt. You'll realize how long you've been playing small. You'll realize how often you've betrayed yourself to fit in. You'll realize how much time you've wasted waiting for the right moment. But that pain, that's growth trying to enter your life. Sit with it, let it humble you, not shame you. And then decide to do something different. Start small. One honest conversation with yourself a day. One choice that aligns with your future self, not your past one. One boundary that protects your peace. One new belief that lifts you instead of limits you. Over time, you'll build a new mirror, not the one society gave you, but the one you chose. A mirror that reflects strength, discipline, awareness, confidence, clarity. And when you look into that mirror, you'll no longer see someone who's trying to escape their old self. You'll see someone who finally stepped into their true one. You'll see someone who took full control of their identity and built a life from the inside out. That's the power of the mirror test. It's not about perfection. It's about truth. And truth always leads to transformation. Here's what I want you to remember. The version of you that wins, the one that reaches goals, inspires others, and lives with peace, is already inside you. But you have to strip away the lies, the noise, the conditioning, and the excuses to find it. That's what this chapter was about. The next time you look in the mirror, don't just check your reflection. Check your direction. Ask, am I being honest with myself? Are my habits helping or hurting me? Is this the identity I want to keep living with? Because once you pass the mirror test, you won't need motivation. You'll have something stronger, clarity. And from there, everything becomes possible. Chapter 3. Build your inner fortress. Let's be honest, life doesn't slow down for anyone. It throws distractions, disappointments, delays, and drama your way, often all at once. If you're not mentally strong, you'll be knocked down by every little inconvenience. You'll break under pressure, panic when plans don't work out, and stay stuck in emotional loops that cost you years of your potential. That's why your biggest success weapon isn't talent, intelligence, or connections. It's your inner fortress. But what exactly is an inner fortress? It's a mental and emotional foundation so strong, so disciplined, so self-aware, that no matter what storms come your way, you remain grounded. It doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means your emotions don't control you. You've built systems inside yourself that shield you from collapse, protect your peace, and keep you focused on what truly matters. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control the world around them. Traffic, people, opinions, opportunities, outcomes. But the world will always be unpredictable. What you can control is your inner world, your reactions, your thoughts, your stories, your decisions. And when you master that, nothing outside of you can ruin you. Let's talk first about emotional discipline. This isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about channeling them. Emotionally undisciplined people live in reaction mode. Someone insults them, they get angry. A plan fails, they quit. A mistake happens, they spiral. Their peace is constantly hijacked by whatever's going on around them. They're like leaves in the wind, tossed around by circumstances they never prepared for. But people who've built their inner fortress respond instead of react. They pause before they speak. They observe their thoughts instead of being controlled by them. They know how to breathe through frustration, to turn pain into learning, to stay calm when others panic. That's real power. And like any power, it's trainable. The way you train emotional discipline is by doing the opposite of what your emotions are screaming at you to do. When you're angry, don't lash out. When you're anxious, don't distract yourself. When you're sad, don't run. Sit with it. Ask, what am I really feeling? Why? What does this emotion want me to learn? You build emotional discipline by becoming the master of your state, not a slave to it. If your mood decides your actions, you'll never be consistent. If your emotions decide your direction, you'll live in a loop. You know what separates winners from wishers? Consistency through chaos. And that only happens when your mind is stronger than your mood. Now let's talk about self-awareness. The foundation of the fortress. You can't fix what you don't understand. You can't improve what you avoid. Self-awareness is your abilities to see yourself clearly. It's the skill of recognizing your patterns, questioning your thoughts, and seeing beyond your ego. Without it, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes and calling it bad luck. Most people are strangers to themselves. They react without reflection. They argue without curiosity. They fail without feedback. They distract themselves so much, they never even hear their inner voice. But here's the truth. You are the source of both your problems and your power. Self-awareness is how you find out which one is running your life. To become self-aware, start treating your mind like a lab, not a courtroom. Don't judge your thoughts. Study them. Ask, where did that fear come from? Why am I triggered by this? What am I avoiding right now? What am I really craving? Validation, connection, control. Self-awareness takes courage because sometimes you'll find ugly truths. You'll realize you've been blaming others for problems you created. You'll realize you've been chasing things that don't fulfill you. You'll realize you've been lying to yourself. But that honesty is freedom. Because once you know better, you can do better. And when you stack emotional discipline on top of self-awareness, something incredible happens. You become mentally tough. Mental toughness isn't about acting hard. It's not coldness or pretending you don't care. It's about being resilient. It's about staying committed when motivation dies. It's about pushing forward even when doubt whispers in your ear. It's about choosing progress over comfort, again and again. Mentally tough people don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't need people to cheer them on. They've trained their minds to show up anyway. You know what builds mental toughness faster than anything else? Doing hard things on purpose. Waking up early when it's easier to sleep in. Saying no when your brain wants short-term pleasure. Speaking truth when silence is safer. Staying on task when distractions call your name. Every time you win that inner battle, you add bricks to your fortress. People ask, how do I stay motivated? You don't. You train discipline instead. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a lifestyle. And discipline comes from making hard decisions even when no one's watching. That's how you build the inner fortress. In private. You don't build it at the gym. You build it when you choose to go, even though you're tired. You don't build it at the office. You build it when you keep working on your dreams, even after rejection. You don't build it in front of a crowd. You build it when you're alone and choose progress over pity. And here's a secret. Every time you do the hard thing, your self-respect grows. And when your self-respect grows, your confidence becomes unbreakable. You start walking different, thinking different, acting different, not because someone praised you, but because you know who you've become. You've earned it. But this fortress isn't just about discipline and toughness. It's also about protecting your peace. In a world full of noise, protecting your peace is a radical act. It means saying no to drama. It means avoiding people who drain you. It means silencing opinions that don't serve your future. It means unplugging from the chaos and coming home to yourself. If you don't protect your mind, someone else will infect it. If you don't protect your energy, the world will consume it. If you don't protect your focus, distractions will own you. And so every day, ask yourself, what am I allowing into my mental space? Is it building my inner strength or breaking it? Is it feeding clarity or confusion? Is it helping me focus on my goals or making me forget who I am? Because building your inner fortress isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Some days it'll be easy. Other days, your old patterns will knock at the door. Fear, doubt, comparison, insecurity. They'll all try to sneak in. But if you've done the work, you'll know how to spot them. You'll know how to replace fear with faith. You'll know how to sit with discomfort without breaking. You'll know how to say, I've been here before, and I know how to win here. The truth is, life will never get easier, but you can get stronger. You can train your mind to be calm in chaos, focused in distraction, and steady in uncertainty. You can train your emotions to serve you instead of sabotage you. You can train your habits to align with your highest identity, not your laziest one. And that training, that's what builds the fortress. Let me leave you with this. There will come a day when everything feels like it's falling apart. You'll face heartbreak, failure, rejection, burnout. Maybe all at once. And on that day, your success won't depend on a YouTube video, a podcast, or a quote on Instagram. It will depend on the fortress you've built inside, the walls you've constructed through discipline, the windows you've cleaned through awareness, the roof you've reinforced with truth. And when that storm hits, you won't just survive. You'll stand tall, because you've done the work. So build it now, not for the days when life is easy, but for the days when you'll need it most. That's the power of building your inner fortress. It doesn't just protect your mind, it liberates your future. Chapter 4. Clarity is power. Have you ever felt like you're working hard but getting nowhere? Like you're constantly busy, always moving, always doing. But at the end of the month, you ask yourself, what did I actually accomplish? That feeling isn't because you're lazy. It's because you're unclear. And in this world, clarity is power. If your goals are blurry, your results will be disappointing. Period. Most people don't fail because they lack motivation. They fail because they don't have direction. They start 100 different things, chase too many ideas, take advice from too many people, and never stick to one clear path long enough to win. They wake up every day with good intentions but no strategy. And the problem with no strategy is that you spend years being active without being effective. Here's the truth. Confusion is expensive. It wastes your time, your energy, your money, and your potential. You can't build a legacy when you're switching blueprints every week. But clarity makes you unstoppable. Because once you know exactly what you want, and exactly why you want it, distractions lose their power. Clarity is the opposite of chaos. It gives you direction, filters your decisions, and protects your energy. It's the difference between saying, I want to be successful, and saying, I want to build a six-figure online business by December 31st so I can quit my job and have more time with my family. The first one is a dream. The second one is a plan. Dreams feel good, but change nothing. Plans feel hard, but change everything. So the first step to gaining clarity is this. Stop chasing 100 things. You don't need 5 business ideas, 3 hobbies, and 4 income streams before you master one. Success doesn't require complexity, it requires focus. The world keeps telling you to do more, hustle harder, and build 10 streams of income. But the truth is, most of those people giving you advice aren't even clear about their own goals. They're just loud. Don't confuse volume with wisdom. Real winners don't move fast in every direction. They move strategically in one. You can't win the race if you keep changing tracks. You can't build momentum if every week you're chasing a new thing. You're not a machine. You're a human. You have limited time, limited energy, limited mental bandwidth. The more you split it, the weaker your progress becomes. Think of it like a laser. A laser is just light, but because it's focused, it can cut through steel. That's what your mind can do when you focus on one clear goal. With intensity, consistency, and direction. So the real question is, what do you want? Not what your friends want, not what Instagram says is cool, not what your parents think you should do. What do you truly, unapologetically, deeply want in your heart? That clarity starts from honesty. Because the first layer of confusion is usually lies we tell ourselves. We pretend we want success, but we're chasing validation. We say we want freedom, but we won't let go of comfort. We say we're confused, but really we're scared to commit to one thing and fail at it. But you can't build a life you love on top of lies. You need truth. Sit down. Be alone. Turn off your phone. Ask yourself, if I could only focus on one thing for the next 12 months that would radically improve my life, what would it be? Don't try to pick what sounds impressive. Pick what matters most to your soul. Is it building a business, getting fit, mastering a skill, fixing your finances, writing a book? Whatever it is, once you find it, the next step is critical. Turn it into a target. Don't say, I want to be healthier. Say, I want to lose 10 kilo in 90 days. Don't say, I want to start a business. Say, I want to make 1 lakhs taka a month selling digital products online by October 30th. Specific goals force your brain to take action. Vague goals make your brain daydream. And once you set the target, reverse engineer it. Ask, what does success in this goal actually look like? What needs to happen monthly, weekly, daily? What habits will support it? What distractions will destroy it? Then, design your days around it. If your calendar doesn't reflect your priorities, don't be surprised when your results don't either. But here's where most people mess up. They get excited in the beginning, full of energy, ready to crush it. Then 2 weeks later, life happens. Their motivation dies. Their emotions crash, and they drop the goal and chase something new. And the cycle repeats. Why? Because they had a goal, but no bulletproof plan. Let me tell you something harsh but real. You will not achieve your goal by relying on feelings. Your plan has to be so strong, so built into your lifestyle, that even on your worst days, you still show up. A bulletproof plan means building systems, not relying on willpower. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You want to build a 6-figure business? Great. That means building a daily sales habit, a weekly content system, and a monthly revenue tracker. You want to get fit? Then it's not about motivation. It's about showing up at the gym even when you're tired, because it's scheduled like a non-negotiable meeting. Discipline wins when motivation fails. Systems win when emotions crash. Here's another key. Your plan needs accountability. If no one knows your goal, it's easy to quit in silence. But if you make your goal public, tell a mentor, or get into a group that supports your vision, you're more likely to follow through. Shame loves secrecy, but progress loves support. And if you really want to bulletproof your plan, add why power. That's stronger than willpower. Ask yourself, why must I achieve this goal? Not why I should, but why I must. What's at stake if I don't? What pain will I stay stuck in? What future will I lose? Who will suffer if I keep living in confusion? Because when your why is strong, your excuses get weak. Now let's address a trap. What happens when you get bored of your goal? Because make no mistake, even your dream will feel boring sometimes. You'll hit plateaus. You'll feel like nothing's changing. You'll question everything. That's not a sign to quit. That's a sign to focus harder. The best results in life come from those who master boredom, who stick to their plan even when it's not exciting, who do the boring reps, the dull days, the quiet work, because they know something magical is building under the surface, and eventually, that clarity pays off. Because the longer you stay on one clear path, the more momentum you build. And momentum compounds. You wake up one day and realize, I'm no longer struggling to stay consistent. It's just who I am now. I don't need to force action. I'm being pulled by purpose. And that's when life gets exciting. Not because it's easy, but because it's aligned. So let me ask you directly. Are you clear on what you want? Are you committed to one path, or just casually flirting with five? Do you have a detailed plan, or are you winging it? Are your actions building towards something, or just keeping you busy? Because clarity isn't something you find. It's something you create. You create it by asking deeper questions. You create it by filtering out noise. You create it by sitting with discomfort. You create it by saying no to everything. That isn't your one real goal. And when you live with clarity, your days feel different. You wake up with direction. You stop overthinking. You stop comparing. You stop wasting years trying to figure it out. Because you've already decided now it's just execution. Clarity saves you from burnout. Clarity removes guilt. Clarity silences doubt. And in a world of people who are distracted, directionless, and drowning in options, you become a rare, powerful force. You become someone who actually finishes. So, if there's one truth I want to leave you with in this chapter, it's this. You don't need more time. You need more focus. You don't need more goals. You need one real mission. You don't need to chase everything. You need to master one thing. Because the moment you get clear, really clear, your mind sharpens, your actions align, and your progress multiplies. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you win. Clarity is power. Chapter 5. Routine. Rewires. Reality. Your future isn't written in some mysterious book of fate. It's written in the pages of your daily routine. Let that sink in. The life you want, freedom, wealth, health, happiness, doesn't arrive on a lucky day. It's built slowly, quietly, and consistently through the small things you do every single day. Your routine is either making you or slowly breaking you. And most people don't even realize it. They keep chasing motivation, waiting for inspiration, hoping one day something will just click. But successful people, they don't wait. They design their days so well that success becomes a side effect of their system. They don't rise because of motivation. They rise because their routine is stronger than their emotions. Let's get brutally honest. How many times have you set a goal, got excited for a few days, maybe a week, and then just dropped it? You didn't fail because you didn't want it badly enough. You failed because you didn't make it automatic. You didn't build a system to protect your progress. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Willpower is weak, but systems are strong. And habits are bulletproof. That's why this chapter is called Routine Rewires Reality. Because when your habits change, your identity changes. When your identity changes, your actions align. When your actions align, your results follow. It's not magic, it's math. Let's break that down. Every habit you have right now, good or bad, was trained. You weren't born scrolling your phone first thing in the morning. You trained that. You weren't born procrastinating, overeating, overspending. You trained all of it, usually without realizing it. That means you can retrain everything too. You can rewire your brain, your default settings, your comfort zone. And that rewiring happens not in moments of intensity, but in days of consistency. If you want to build a new life, start by building a new day. That's why your daily routine matters more than any course, coach, or weekend seminar. Because those things might inspire you, but your routine transforms you. One small win at a time, one discipline at a time, one intentional decision at a time. Let me ask you something important. What does your day look like when nobody's watching? Because that version of you, the quiet version, the unfiltered version, the private you, that's the version creating your future. It's easy to post about grinding online. It's easy to buy books and watch motivational videos. But what do your actions look like at 6 a.m. when the alarm goes off? Or at 11 p.m. when you're tempted to scroll instead of sleep? Or on a boring Wednesday when nothing exciting is happening? That's when character is built. That's when success is created. That's when habits either keep you disciplined or destroy your momentum. Here's a mindset shift. Stop seeing routine as boring. Start seeing it as your personal power plant. The gym might not be exciting, but it's where you prove to yourself that discipline matters. Planning your day might feel small, but it's how you take control of time instead of reacting to it. Reading 10 pages a day might feel slow, but it's how your mind becomes sharper than 99% of people who only scroll. This is how winners think. Every routine is a seed. Every seed becomes a tree. But most people quit in the soil. They get impatient. They want the fruit without the roots. But if you're serious about transformation, your routine needs to be non-negotiable. Let's talk about what a winning routine looks like, not in theory, but in practice. First, it starts with intentional mornings. Not chaotic, not rushed, not reactive. Successful people don't start their day by checking WhatsApp and scrolling Instagram. They start with alignment. That might be 30 minutes of reading, journaling, exercise, prayer, or just silence. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. A strong morning doesn't guarantee a perfect day, but it increases the chances of making powerful decisions that align with your goals. Then comes priority execution. Your routine should not be filled with busyness. It should be designed around one needle-moving task. If you're building a business, that might be content creation, sales calls, or improving your product. If you're getting fit, it's your workout. The idea is simple. One clear win before distractions steal your energy. Winners move the big rocks first. Losers rearrange the small ones all day. The middle of your day is where most people drift. So build anchors, timed check-ins. Are you staying on task? Did you complete your top 3 actions? Are you checking your progress or reacting to the world? And finally, powerful routines end with intentional shutdowns. Not collapsing into bed after 4 hours of Netflix, but reviewing the day, asking, what did I do right? What can I improve? What am I grateful for? Even 10 minutes of reflection can turn an ordinary day into a lesson. Your sleep gets deeper when your mind isn't carrying guilt and noise. Now, a quick warning. When you try to change your routine, your brain will resist. That's not failure, that's friction. Friction is what happens when your current identity meets your new ambition. Your old habits will fight for survival. Your emotions will scream, just one day off won't hurt. Your phone will whisper, let's just scroll for a second. Your comfort zone will remind you of all the excuses that have kept you stuck. But this is where transformation is born. In the moment between comfort and conviction. Every time you say yes to your new routine, even when it's uncomfortable, you weaken the old identity. You break the cycle. You train your brain to obey your vision, not your emotions. This is why consistency beats intensity. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have epic days. You just need to be consistent enough that your identity starts shifting. You go from, I want to write, to, I'm a writer. From, I'm trying to start a business, to, I run my own business. From, I want to eat healthy, to, I don't even crave junk anymore. That shift is real. And it doesn't come from motivation. It comes from showing up, especially on the days you don't feel like it. And here's something most people forget. Your routine is contagious. If you live with discipline, others around you start rising. Your kids, your partner, your team. They absorb your energy. The way you treat your morning sets the tone for how they treat their day. You become the thermostat for everyone around you, and when you raise your standards, they either rise with you or fall off. Either way, you win. Now, let's talk about energy. Routines are not just about productivity. They're about protecting your energy. You can have the best goals, the smartest plans, the clearest clarity, but if your energy is low, you won't execute. Your routine should include sleep, food, movement, breaks, sunlight, laughter, and silence, not because it's trendy, because it's smart. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's a sign your routine is broken. If your routine drains you, it's not working, even if it looks impressive on paper. Your life shouldn't feel like a race you're always losing. It should feel like a rhythm you've mastered. And that rhythm is personal. What works for someone else may not work for you. Stop copying influencers who wake up at 4 a.m. just because it sounds intense. Your routine should match your mission, season, and biology, not someone's highlight reel. The key is intentionality. Don't live by accident. Don't drift. Don't react. Wake up like a person who knows they're building something sacred. Walk through your day like someone who's creating their own reality. Because that's what your routine does. It doesn't just fill your time. It shapes your identity. You don't need more motivation. You need better systems. You don't need perfect discipline. You need sustainable habits. You don't need to work 20 hours a day. You need to execute your vital 3 hours at peak focus. And over time, those small things add up. They become a lifestyle. And one day, someone will look at your results and say, how did you do it? And your answer will be simple. I did it daily. You rewired your reality through routine. So here's what I want you to do today. Audit your current routine. Ask yourself, is this routine building the life I want, or just maintaining the life I tolerate? Design one small change, one habit that aligns with your mission. Don't try to change 10 things overnight. Change one thing and protect it like your life depends on it. Because honestly, it does. Your future depends on what you do daily, not what you wish for, not what you dream about, but what you repeat, what you reinforce, what you refuse to quit. The best version of you isn't built in a single breakthrough moment. It's built brick by brick, hour by hour, choice by choice. And your routine is the blueprint. Make it strong. Make it sacred. Make it so powerful that success becomes your new normal, even on your worst days. Routine rewires reality, and once you master your days, the rest of your life won't be a mystery. It'll be inevitable. Chapter 6: Master the Boring. Success doesn't always feel exciting. Most of the time, it feels repetitive, quiet, and, if we're being brutally honest, boring. And that's exactly why most people never achieve it. We live in a world that's addicted to stimulation. Every app, every platform, every trend is designed to hijack your attention. Dopamine is cheap and everyone is chasing the next hit. But here's the real truth. Winners are the ones who get addicted to boredom. They fall in love with repetition. They become obsessed with the process. And while everyone else is chasing hacks and novelty, they're stacking quiet, invisible wins day after day after day. It's easy to be consistent when things feel new. It's easy to show up when results are coming fast. But what about when it gets quiet? When the likes slow down, the scale doesn't move, the money isn't flowing yet. That's when most people quit. Not because the dream was too far, but because they couldn't handle the boredom in the middle. And that's the secret nobody tells you. The middle is boring. Mastering your craft is boring. Building a body is boring. Growing a business is boring. Reading, writing, creating, shipping. Most of it is not flashy. It's not viral. It's not something you can post about every day. But that's where the greatness is. You don't need more motivation. You need to stop being allergic to boredom. Let's say you want to build an online business. In the beginning, you're excited. You're learning. Everything feels fresh. But fast forward 60 days, and now you're writing emails every day, recording content, dealing with tech issues, replying to customers. The excitement wears off. The emotions dip. And now, you're tempted to quit or switch to something more fun. That's where 99% of people drop out. But the 1%, they lean in. They smile at the boredom because they know it's part of the ache process. If you can learn to execute when it's boring, you'll outperform everyone who only shows up when it's exciting. Let me repeat that again. Boring is the shortcut. The people at the top didn't get there because they were constantly excited. They got there because they built boring routines that produced amazing results over time. They made the simple things automatic. And eventually, those simple things compounded into extraordinary outcomes. Here's where people get it wrong. They confuse boring with ineffective. But boring doesn't mean it's not working. It usually means it is working, and your brain just isn't getting the dopamine hit it's used to. Take fitness, for example. The most effective workouts: squats, push-ups, deadlifts, walking, lifting, heavy, eating clean. None of that sounds sexy, but it works better than any shiny new 15-minute YouTube workout with fast music and flashy edits. Or think about money. The most reliable way to build wealth is not trading crypto all day or buying into hype. It's saving consistently, investing monthly, growing skills, making smart offers, repeating that for 10 years. Again, boring, but effective. Let's look at relationships. Real connection comes not from grand romantic gestures, but from daily presence, trust, and listening. From showing up even when you're tired. From the little boring things like checking in, saying thank you, and remembering the details. Anyone can post couple goals. Few can do the daily maintenance. Even spiritually, growth doesn't come from one big retreat or breakthrough. It comes from the boring habits: prayer, reflection, reading, choosing forgiveness, being kind when it's hard. The spiritual giants of the world weren't chasing vibes. They were rooted in practice. Here's a mindset shift. The boring stuff is the magic. It's just that most people are too distracted to notice. In fact, the more successful you become, the more boring your habits will look to the average person. Your focus is boring. Your work ethic is boring. Your ability to say no to distractions? Boring. To the outside world, you might look like a machine. But internally, you're free. Free from the highs and lows of chasing motivation. Free from the roller coaster of trying to do everything fast. You've created a system that works, even on your worst days. That's why top performers build lives where the default is winning. They don't have to hype themselves up every morning. They've trained their habits so well that success is just what happens when they wake up and follow their process. Want to know your future? Look at what you're repeating today. Are you repeating healthy routines, focused action, consistent self-respect? Or are you repeating chaos, distractions, false starts, and endless restarts? Whatever you repeat becomes your result. And yes, it's going to be boring sometimes, maybe most of the time. But let me ask you, what's more boring? Doing the same habits for a year that change your life, or living the same stuck life for 10 years because you refuse to be bored for 10 minutes? Comfort is boring too. So is staying broke. So is always being behind. The difference is, one kind of boring builds you, the other kind slowly destroys you. Choose your boring wisely. Let's talk about discipline for a second. People think discipline is about pushing hard 24/7, but real discipline is about making the boring non-negotiable. It's about brushing your teeth even when you're tired, tracking your spending even when you don't feel like it, doing your business outreach even when no one replies. That kind of discipline doesn't just build results, it builds self-respect. And self-respect is what keeps you going when the world is quiet, when no one's clapping, when no one's liking or commenting or validating. You still move. You still do your work. Because it's not about the noise, it's about the mission. Now let's get brutally honest about habits. You don't need a 27-step system to start. You just need to pick one boring action and do it daily. Want to build a writing habit? Write 100 words a day, even if it's trash. Want to learn English? Practice speaking for 5 minutes a day, even if you feel silly. Want to lose weight? Walk every day, even if it's just around your building. You don't need massive motivation. You need micro-consistency. And here's the beautiful part. Boring habits get easier. The more you repeat, the less resistance you feel. Your brain adapts. It stops fighting. It starts helping. The habit becomes automatic. What once felt boring becomes your new comfort. And when that happens, you've won. You've rewired your identity. You've turned a small unsexy habit into a part of who you are. Now let's address the elephant in the room. What if you get bored with your progress? That's normal. The human brain craves novelty. That's why people self-sabotage. Not because they hate success, but because they get bored of the path to success. So they create drama, switch strategies, burn things down, and start over. Because it's emotionally exciting. But excitement doesn't build empires. Focus does. So if you feel bored, good. That means you're in the growth zone. That means the real work has begun. Instead of changing your goal, change your perspective. Start measuring progress in new ways. Instead of just weight loss, measure energy. Instead of just money, measure offers made. Instead of just followers, measure your message's clarity. And most importantly, celebrate boring wins. Because that's where the magic hides. The world will praise you when it's done. But only you can clap for yourself in the quiet. Look, no one's handing out trophies for brushing your teeth or eating clean or waking up on time, but those are the wins that change everything. They don't make headlines, but they make you every time. You choose the boring habit over the shiny distraction. You're building something sacred. You're building integrity. And over time, integrity becomes identity. One day, people will look at you and say, "Wow, you're so consistent. You're so focused. You're so disciplined." And you'll smile because you know the truth. You just mastered the boring. You stopped quitting when it got quiet. You stopped chasing dopamine. You stopped needing motivation. And instead, you started building momentum. Let me leave you with this. Success is not about doing 100 different things once. It's about doing 3 things 1,000 times without giving up. Even when it's boring. Even when it's slow. Even when nobody's watching. So build your boring habits like your life depends on it, because it does. This chapter might not feel exciting, but the results you'll get from mastering the boring, they'll be legendary. Chapter 7, Kill the Comparison Trap. There's a quiet poison that kills more dreams than failure ever will. You won't see it coming. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up as a scroll through social media, a glance at someone else's success, a second of self-doubt, a tiny voice in your head that says, "You're behind." That's comparison, and it's a trap. We live in the most connected era in human history, yet we feel more inadequate than ever. Why? Because we don't just see our friends anymore. We see everyone's highlight reel. Their wins, their smiles, their celebrations, the filtered parts of life. And somehow, we use that curated content to measure our real, messy, behind-the-scenes journey. You log into Facebook, and someone just got promoted. You open Instagram, and someone just got married. You scroll through LinkedIn, and someone just made 6 figures at 25. And you? You're sitting in your room, wondering if you'll ever get your break. It feels like everyone is ahead, and you feel like you're not enough. But here's the brutal truth. Comparison is a liar, a thief, a master, illusionist. It makes you forget your value by distracting you with someone else's version of success. It tricks you into measuring yourself by metrics that don't even matter to your soul. It turns your journey into a race, and then punishes you for not running at someone else's pace. The saddest part, most people don't even know they're in the trap. They chase things not because they want them, but because someone else has them. They buy cars to impress people who don't care. They post achievements just to keep up appearances. They build entire lives based on validation instead of values. That's not freedom. That's performance. And that's why so many successful people feel empty. Because they climbed someone else's mountain. They sacrificed peace for applause. And now, even at the top, they're not happy. You've got to kill the comparison trap, or it will kill your joy, your focus, and your potential. Let's get practical. The first step to killing comparison is realizing this. Everyone's timeline is different. Success is not a one-size-fits-all journey. Some people peak early, some bloom late, some take detours, some restart at 40, some figure it out after failing 10 times. And guess what? All of it is valid. You are not behind. You're just on your timeline. One person might get married at 24, another at 40. One builds a business in college, another builds one after raising kids. One person heals quickly from pain, another takes years. Neither is wrong. Life is not a competition. It's a canvas. Stop judging your Chapter 2 based on someone else's Chapter 20. You don't know their full story. You don't see their silent battles, their late nights, their therapy, their failures, their loneliness. Social media won't show you that. It shows the wins, not the wounds. And if you use that as your yardstick, you'll always feel less than. The second thing you must understand is this. Your lane is the only one that matters. You were not born to copy. You were born to create. There is no competition when you're living in alignment. No one else has your exact voice, perspective, story, or vision. That's your superpower. And when you truly own that, comparison dies because no one can compete with you being fully you. Let's be real. The pressure to keep up is not just internal, it's cultural. Everyone's moving fast, hustling, scaling, sharing numbers, growing audiences. The grind is glorified. But here's what you rarely hear. Pace matters more than speed. Direction matters more than popularity. Depth matters more than hype. If you try to grow fast without building deep, you'll collapse. So choose depth. Choose peace. Choose authenticity, even if it's slower. Because the loudest person in the room isn't always the wisest. The most viral person online isn't always the most fulfilled. The fastest growing business isn't always the most sustainable. And the person who looks like they have it all together, they might be falling apart behind closed doors. So stop measuring your life against illusions. Start measuring your life by progress, by values, by who you're becoming. That's the only scoreboard that counts. Let's talk about jealousy. It's a natural human emotion. We all feel it. But when left unchecked, it becomes toxic. It makes you bitter instead of better. It causes you to resent instead of respect. It turns admiration into competition. And it clouds your ability to learn from others because you're too busy comparing. Here's how to flip jealousy into fuel. Celebrate instead of compete. When someone else wins, don't say, "Why not me?" Say, "That's proof it's possible." When someone's living your dream, don't get jealous. Get curious. Learn from them. Study their moves. Respect their effort. And then focus back on your own lane. Because their success does not threaten yours. Their blessings not your burden. We're not running out of opportunity. Life is not a zero-sum game. There's room for all of us to win. The most powerful mindset you can adopt is this. I'm not in competition with anyone. I'm just working to become a better version of me. That mindset changes everything. You stop needing to prove. You stop needing to post. You stop needing to win the imaginary race. Instead, you lock in. You grow in silence. You stack quiet wins. And eventually, you arrive at your own version of success. One that feels right, not just looks right. Now let's address a common side effect of comparison. Imposter syndrome. That feeling of I'm not good enough. That inner voice that says, "Who am I to do this?" It's not a sign that you're not capable. It's a sign that you care. It shows up when you're stepping into something new, something big, something meaningful. And yes, it's uncomfortable. But it's also an invitation to rise, to grow, to own your space. The cure to imposter syndrome is not fake confidence. It's consistent action. You don't become confident by waiting. You become confident by doing, even when you're scared. The more you take aligned action, the quieter the doubt becomes. Because you build evidence, you see results, you create proof. And that's what silences the imposter inside. You are not an imposter. You're just early in the process. And the people you admire, they once felt like frauds too. The only difference is they kept showing up anyway. So show up in your lane, at your pace, with your story, because no one else can tell it the way you can. Let me tell you a secret. The people who win long-term are not the most talented. They're not the most popular. They're not the loudest or flashiest. They're the ones who stay in their lane. They master their craft. They tune out the noise. They do the boring reps. They build from the inside out. And slowly, they rise. Quietly, authentically, powerfully. So if you feel behind, stop scrolling. Start building. If you feel lost, stop comparing. Start creating. And if you feel like quitting, remember, the world doesn't need another copy. It needs the full, real, powerful you. The truth is, you don't need to be like anyone else. You need to become more of yourself. You don't need more followers. You need more focus. You don't need more validation. You need more self-respect. You don't need to keep up. You need to slow down and level up. Run your race. Celebrate others, but stay locked in on your path. Kill the comparison. Trap every time it tries to whisper, "You're not enough," because you are. You always were. You just forgot, because the world trained you to look outward instead of inward. But now you know better. Now you see the trap. And now, you're free. So the next time you feel the urge to compare, take a deep breath. Unfollow the noise. Log out if you need to. Recenter. Recalibrate. Remember who you are. Remember what matters. And remind yourself, your lane, your pace, your life. That's the only thing you ever need to focus on. Chapter 8. Turn pain into power. Pain is one of the most powerful forces in life. It is unavoidable, universal, and deeply personal. Every human being experiences it in some form, whether through rejection, failure, loss, or disappointment. But what separates those who break and those who break through is not the absence of pain, but what they do with it. Pain, if harnessed correctly, becomes the most potent fuel for growth, transformation, and success. This chapter will guide you on how to turn your pain into power and make your scars your strongest asset. At some point, you've likely felt the sting of rejection. Maybe it was a job you didn't get, a relationship that ended, or an opportunity that slipped away. Rejection is brutal. It strikes at our sense of self-worth and shakes our confidence to its core. For many, it triggers a spiral of self-doubt and despair. We begin to question our abilities, our value, and even our right to pursue our dreams. But what if rejection is not a dead end? What if it's a redirection, a necessary detour that forces you to pause, reflect, and grow? One of the first steps in turning pain into power is changing how you perceive failure and rejection. Instead of viewing them as personal flaws or permanent setbacks, start seeing them as lessons and feedback. Every no you receive teaches you something valuable about what doesn't work, about where to improve, or about what's truly important to you. The most successful people in the world have failed more times than most of us can count. What makes them stand out is their ability to use failure as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His relentless experimentation and refusal to give up in the face of repeated failure eventually led to one of the most transformative inventions in history. Your failures can serve the same purpose if you allow them to. Each setback is an opportunity to refine your approach, build resilience, and come back stronger. Another critical aspect of turning pain into power is embracing vulnerability. Society often teaches us to hide our pain, to put on a brave face, and to avoid showing weakness. But vulnerability is not weakness. It is the gateway to authenticity and connection. When you allow yourself to feel your pain fully, you process it instead of burying it. This honest confrontation with your emotions enables healing and growth. It also builds emotional intelligence, which is a key ingredient for long-term success and happiness. Pain also has a way of clarifying your priorities and values. When everything is going well, it's easy to get distracted by trivial matters or to settle for mediocrity. But pain cuts through the noise. It forces you to confront what matters most in your life. Perhaps after a painful breakup, you realize how important genuine connection is to you. Or after losing a job, you discover that financial security was holding you back from pursuing your true passion. Pain can be a powerful compass, pointing you toward a life that is more aligned with your deepest desires. Building on this, one of the most transformative shifts you can make is to reframe your scars as badges of honor. Scars are proof that you survived, that you endured, and that you have a story worth telling. They symbolize strength, resilience, and wisdom gained through experience. Instead of hiding your struggles, embrace them. Share your story. When you do, you inspire others and remind yourself that pain is not the end of the story. It's a chapter in your journey. This mindset shift is not easy, and it requires deliberate practice. It involves changing the narrative you tell yourself about pain. Instead of saying, "Why me?" start asking, "What is this teaching me?" When you shift your focus from victimhood to empowerment, you reclaim control over your life and your future. Turning pain into power also means developing emotional resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity. Resilience is not about avoiding stress or hardship. It's about learning how to respond to it constructively. Resilient people don't let failure define them. They face difficulties head-on, learn from them, and keep moving forward. You can cultivate resilience through self-care, supportive relationships, and healthy coping strategies such as mindfulness, journaling, or physical exercise. In fact, physical activity is a surprisingly effective way to process emotional pain. Exercise releases endorphins, a natural mood elevators, and helps reduce stress and anxiety. It also strengthens your body, which in turn strengthens your mind. When you feel overwhelmed by pain, moving your body can be a powerful act of self-love and healing. Another powerful tool in transforming pain into power is gratitude. It might seem counterintuitive to be grateful when you're hurting, but gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing or broken to what's still good and meaningful in your life. Studies consistently show that practicing gratitude improves mental health, reduces stress, and increases overall happiness. When you cultivate gratitude, even in the midst of hardship, you build an inner fortress that no external setback can easily break. Alongside gratitude, forgiveness plays a crucial role in releasing pain. Holding on to anger, resentment, or bitterness only prolongs your suffering. Forgiveness is not about condoning what happened or forgetting it. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that bind you to past hurt. Forgiving yourself and others opens the door to healing and allows you to redirect your energy toward growth rather than grudges. In this process of turning pain into power, it's also vital to develop a clear vision for your future. Pain without purpose can feel overwhelming and paralyzing. But when you anchor your pain to a meaningful goal or mission, it becomes fuel for your journey. This vision acts like a lighthouse, guiding you through storms and reminding you why you keep going. Whether it's building a business, helping others, or mastering a craft, your purpose gives your pain a reason to transform into strength. As you turn pain into power, don't forget the importance of community. Isolation deepens suffering, while connection heals it. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who believe in you, and who hold space for your growth. Sharing your struggles and triumphs with trusted friends or mentors lightens the burden and provides new perspectives. Remember, vulnerability breeds connection, and connection breeds strength. The process of turning pain into power is ongoing. It's not a one-time event, but a daily choice to face your challenges with courage and grace. It requires patience and compassion for yourself and for life's unfolding. There will be days when the weight feels too heavy, and that's okay. Healing is not linear. It's messy, unpredictable, and uniquely yours. Consider this. Some of the most influential leaders, artists, and innovators have transformed their deepest pain into their greatest impact. Oprah Winfrey overcame a traumatic childhood to become one of the world's most powerful voices. J.K. Rowling battled rejection and hardship before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Steve Jobs faced failures and setbacks but used those experiences to revolutionize technology. Their scars became their stories, and their stories inspired millions. You, too, can write a story worth telling. One where pain is not your enemy, but your ally. Every scar, every setback, every heartbreak can fuel your rise if you let it. In practical terms, when you face pain or failure, take a moment to pause and reflect instead of reacting impulsively. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? What new path is this opening? When you answer these questions honestly, you start to turn wounds into wisdom. It's also helpful to create rituals that honor your healing and growth. This might be journaling about your experiences, meditating to process emotions, or setting weekly intentions to focus on progress. Small, consistent practices build momentum and reinforce the mindset that pain is temporary and growth is ongoing. Remember, you are not your pain. Pain is a part of your journey, but it does not define you. Your response to pain defines you. Choose to respond with courage. Choose to respond with love. Choose to respond with power. As you continue your journey in this book, keep this chapter close to your heart. Whenever life knocks you down, and it will, remember that every setback carries the seed of a comeback. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. The greatest growth often comes after the darkest nights. So embrace your scars. Wear them proudly. They are proof you survived, learned, and leveled up. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Turn your pain into power and watch how your life transforms. Chapter 9. Protect your energy. Energy is the currency of success. It fuels your focus, creativity, productivity, and emotional well-being. Without it, even the best plans, talents, or opportunities can fall flat. Yet many people fail to realize just how precious their energy is, or how easily it can be drained by people, situations, and even their own inner dialogue. If you want to win in life and remain laser-focused on your goals, protecting your energy is not optional. It is fundamental. When we talk about energy, we are referring to more than just physical stamina. We mean your emotional, mental, and spiritual vitality. The inner power that drives you forward, keeps you motivated, and sustains you through challenges. This energy is finite. You cannot pour from an empty cup. When your energy is depleted, your productivity plummets, your creativity dries up, and your mood darkens. You become more susceptible to stress, anxiety, and burnout. To achieve lasting success, you must become fiercely protective of your energy. The first step to protecting your energy is to become aware of what drains it. This sounds simple, but it is surprisingly difficult in practice because energy drains can be subtle and insidious. Often, the biggest energy vampires are not the obvious toxic people, but the ones who subtly sap your enthusiasm with constant negativity, complaints, or drama. They may be family members, friends, colleagues, or even casual acquaintances who pull you into their emotional storms or distract you from your goals. It's also crucial to recognize the internal energy drains. Negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, worry, and overthinking consume enormous amounts of mental and emotional energy. When you replay old mistakes, catastrophize about the future, or berate yourself for not being enough. You exhaust your inner resources and leave little left for creative problem solving or meaningful action. Protecting your energy means learning to catch these thought patterns and gently shift your focus toward empowerment and possibility. In order to safeguard your energy, you need to set boundaries, clear lines that define what you will and will not tolerate from others and yourself. Boundaries are not walls of isolation, but fences that protect your garden. They allow you to cultivate your strengths, maintain your focus, and preserve your well-being. Without boundaries, you become a magnet for distractions, emotional exhaustion, and conflict. Creating boundaries begins with clarity. You must understand your priorities, values, and limits. What are your non-negotiables? What behaviors or demands from others drain your energy? What environments leave you feeling depleted or energized? When you answer these questions honestly, you gain the insight needed to build effective boundaries. For example, maybe you realize that certain conversations with a particular family member always leave you feeling drained because they focus only on problems without seeking solutions. Or you discover that you lose hours scrolling on social media, which distracts you from your goals and leaves you feeling anxious. These realizations become the foundation for boundary setting. Once you know where your energy leaks are, you can take intentional steps to plug them. This might mean limiting time spent with certain people or shifting the nature of conversations to more positive, solution-focused topics. It could involve turning off notifications, scheduling specific tech-free hours, or choosing to engage with social media only when it serves your goals. It might also require you to say no more often. No to invitations, requests, or commitments that don't align with your priorities or drain your energy. Saying no is one of the most powerful ways to protect your energy. Yet many people struggle with it because they fear disappointing others or missing out. But every yes you give that doesn't serve you is a no to your own growth and well-being. When you say no to what drains you, you say yes to yourself. This simple but profound act is an essential tool in your energy management toolkit. Another important aspect of protecting your energy is choosing who you surround yourself with. The people you spend the most time with have a profound impact on your mindset, habits, and energy levels. Positive, motivated, and supportive people lift you up and inspire you to keep pushing. Negative, critical, or draining individuals pull you down and consume your energy without giving anything back. If you want to focus on yourself until you win, you must be deliberate about your circle. This might mean seeking out mentors, peers, or communities that share your values and goals. It could also require distancing yourself from relationships that consistently drain your energy or sabotage your progress. This is not about cutting people off harshly, but about creating healthy space where you can thrive. Protecting your energy also involves self-care practices that replenish your reserves. Just as you set boundaries to prevent energy loss, you must invest in habits that restore your vitality. Quality sleep, nutritious food, physical activity, mindfulness, and time in nature all recharge your body and mind. When you treat your body like a temple and your mind like a garden, you create a fertile ground for success. Mindfulness, in particular, is a powerful practice for energy protection. When you cultivate awareness of your thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations, you can detect early signs of energy drain or stress. This allows you to take corrective action before depletion sets in. Mindfulness also helps you remain centered and focused amid distractions, making your energy more efficient and effective. Another often overlooked energy drain is multitasking. While it might feel productive, multitasking actually splits your attention and exhausts your brain faster than focusing on one task at a time. To protect your mental energy, practice deep work, immersing yourself fully in one important task. Before moving on to the next, this not only conserves energy but also produces higher quality results in less time. Digital detoxes are another valuable tool for protecting your energy. Our modern world bombards us with constant notifications, news updates, and social media distractions. This information overload creates cognitive fatigue and stress. By regularly unplugging, whether for an hour, a day, or a weekend, you give your mind space to rest and rejuvenate. This intentional break can dramatically increase your energy and clarity when you return to your work. Importantly, protecting your energy is also about managing your emotional responses. Emotional energy is one of the most precious and fragile types of energy. When you get caught up in drama, gossip, or conflict, you lose emotional energy that could be better spent on positive connections and growth. Learning to respond calmly, rather than react impulsively, is a skill that protects your emotional reserves and strengthens your resilience. You do this by developing emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions and the emotions of others. When you cultivate this skill, you become less reactive and more intentional in your interactions. You learn to choose where to invest your emotional energy wisely, focusing on relationships and situations that uplift and inspire you. At times, protecting your energy means walking away from situations or people that no longer serve your growth. This can be painful and challenging, especially when it involves long-term relationships or deeply ingrained patterns. But growth requires courage. It requires a willingness to let go of what's comfortable but draining and to make space for what fuels your success and happiness. It's also essential to protect your energy from unrealistic expectations, both from others and yourself. Perfectionism, overcommitment, and the pressure to please everyone are common traps that drain energy and cause burnout. Learning to manage expectations, delegate, and set realistic goals helps you conserve energy for what truly matters. Remember, energy spent trying to meet impossible standards or appease everyone is energy lost from your core mission. Another critical aspect of protecting your energy is recognizing when you need rest and renewal. Hustle culture often glorifies constant work and productivity, but true success depends on balance. Your energy is not an inexhaustible resource. Pushing yourself to the brink without replenishing leads to burnout, illness, and loss of motivation. Honoring your need for rest is a radical act of self-care that ultimately fuels greater productivity and joy. Protecting your energy also means being mindful of your mental diet, the information, media, and content you consume. Just as you wouldn't fill your body with junk food, don't fill your mind with negativity, fear-mongering, or toxic messages. Choose to consume content that inspires, educates, and uplifts you. Surround yourself with ideas and stories that expand your vision and energize your spirit. One practical way to protect your energy is by creating daily rituals and routines that center and ground you. These rituals act like energy anchors, providing stability and focus throughout the day. It might be a morning meditation, a midday walk, journaling your gratitude, or an evening wind-down routine. These small acts accumulate over time and build a resilient energy foundation. Finally, protecting your energy is a lifelong commitment. It requires ongoing self-awareness, courage, and the willingness to make sometimes difficult choices. But the payoff is enormous. When you guard your energy fiercely, you gain clarity, focus, and emotional strength. You become more productive, creative, and resilient. You build a life where you can truly focus on you until you win. Chapter 10. Win quietly. Win loudly. In a world obsessed with social media likes, flashy success stories, and constant self-promotion, the idea of winning quietly might seem almost countercultural. Yet those who have truly mastered success understand that the loudest voices rarely create the deepest impact. Real winners know the power of silent growth, how to build momentum beneath the surface, stay humble amidst progress, and let their results, not their words, create lasting influence. This chapter explores why winning quietly is a strategic advantage, how humility fuels sustainable success, and why your legacy depends more on what you build than what you broadcast. To begin, ask yourself a simple question. Why do you want to win? Is it to impress others, to seek external validation, or to build something meaningful that lasts beyond fleeting applause? If your motivation is the latter, then winning quietly will become your most potent weapon. When you focus less on noise and more on consistent action, you harness a kind of power that's impossible to fake or buy. Winning quietly means understanding the difference between noise and signal. Noise is all the chatter, empty promises, boastful claims, and self-glorification that fills social media feeds and conversations. It might capture attention for a moment, but quickly fades into background static. Signal, on the other hand, is meaningful, valuable, and lasting. It is the substance behind the story, the real progress, the tangible results, and the authentic contributions that stand the test of time. Many people fall into the trap of making noise because it feels like a shortcut. Posting every small achievement, constantly seeking approval, or exaggerating success can momentarily boost ego and visibility. But this kind of loud winning is fragile. It depends heavily on external factors, likes, shares, praise, and creates pressure to maintain a facade. When challenges arise, the facade cracks, and the true strength of the person or business is exposed. Conversely, silent growth is rooted in discipline, patience, and a long-term vision. It is about doing the hard work when no one is watching, showing up daily to improve, learn, and build without the need for immediate recognition. This kind of winning is slow, but steady. It might not attract headlines or viral fame, but it creates an unshakable foundation for lasting success. Humility is the cornerstone of quiet winning. Humility doesn't mean lack of confidence or downplaying your achievements. It means recognizing that success is a journey, not a destination, and that there is always more to learn. Humble winners stay grounded even as they rise. They welcome feedback, embrace failure as a teacher, and never lose sight of their values. Staying humble in a culture that rewards self-promotion is challenging. It requires inner strength to resist the temptation to boast or compare yourself to others. But humility is a superpower because it opens the door to continuous growth. When you believe you know everything or have arrived, you stop evolving. Humility keeps you curious, hungry, and adaptable, traits that are essential for navigating the inevitable ups and downs of any journey. Another advantage of winning quietly is that it protects your energy and focus. When you're not caught up in the noise of seeking attention or defending your status, you conserve mental and emotional resources. You can devote your energy to the work that matters, improving your skills, solving problems, and serving your customers or community. This focused effort compounds over time, creating momentum that eventually becomes impossible to ignore. This is where the idea of winning loudly comes in, not as a contradiction, but as a natural consequence of silent growth. Winning loudly doesn't mean shouting about every small victory. It means letting your results speak so powerfully that they command attention and respect without you having to shout. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your work matters, your impact is real, and your legacy is being built one step at a time. Consider some of the most respected leaders, entrepreneurs, or artists in history. Many didn't seek immediate fame or shout their achievements from the rooftops. Instead, they focused on mastering their craft, improving steadily, and creating value that others couldn't ignore. Their wins eventually spoke loudly, not through boasting, but through undeniable success, innovation, and influence. Winning quietly also means mastering the art of timing. There is a season for silence and a season for celebration. Knowing when to hold your cards close and when to share your progress strategically is a crucial skill. Prematurely broadcasting unfinished work or incomplete ideas can expose vulnerabilities, invite criticism, or give competitors an advantage. Patience allows you to build confidence and polish your results before revealing them to the world. In addition, silent winning cultivates resilience. When you're focused on internal growth rather than external validation, you become less dependent on approval or applause. This resilience helps you weather setbacks without losing momentum. You learn to trust your process and maintain faith in your vision, even when progress seems invisible or slow. Moreover, quiet winners often develop deeper and more authentic relationships. When your focus is on genuine contribution rather than self-promotion, you attract people who value substance over style. These connections provide meaningful support, collaboration, and opportunities that amplify your success. Loud winners, in contrast, may attract followers who are more interested in the spectacle than the substance, leading to shallow or fleeting connections. Building a legacy rather than just making noise is another critical reason to embrace quiet winning. A legacy is the lasting impact you leave on others, the values you instill, the innovations you create, and the lives you touch. It's the story told long after the spotlight fades. Legacy building requires patience, humility, and a focus on meaningful contributions rather than immediate recognition. When you win quietly, you invest in your legacy by consistently delivering value, acting with integrity, and nurturing relationships. This approach creates a ripple effect. Your impact spreads organically through the lives of others, inspiring new generations and creating a foundation that lasts. Loud, flashy wins might garner short-term attention, but rarely create enduring legacies. It's also important to acknowledge that winning quietly doesn't mean isolation or secrecy. It means intentionality in how and when you share your journey. Authentic storytelling, thoughtful sharing of milestones, and strategic communication amplify your message without sacrificing humility or focus. The key is to balance transparency with discretion, ensuring that your public persona aligns with your true progress. In today's digital age, where everyone feels pressure to perform publicly, winning quietly is a radical act of self-care and strategy. It protects you from the exhaustion of constant performance, comparison, and approval seeking. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, mastering your craft, solving problems, and making a difference. As you embrace the philosophy of winning quietly, remember that it is not about shrinking yourself or hiding your light. Rather, it's about cultivating a deep, unshakable confidence that doesn't need to prove itself through noise. Your work will shine brighter because it is rooted in substance, integrity, and relentless effort. Winning quietly prepares you for a louder, more impactful wins later. A moment when your results command attention and respect without any need for boasting. This loud win is not about volume, but about undeniable presence and influence. It is the victory of substance over spectacle, of legacy over applause. To put this into practice, begin by reflecting on your own motivations and behaviors. Are you tempted to make noise before the work is done? Do you seek validation through external applause rather than internal satisfaction? Are you cultivating humility and patience in your journey? These questions help you align with the mindset of quiet winning. Next, focus on consistent daily actions that build your skills, knowledge, and value. Celebrate your progress privately or with trusted supporters, rather than broadcasting every step. Develop rituals that reinforce your commitment to growth and integrity. Surround yourself with people who respect your process and encourage your humility. Finally, practice patience and trust in the timing of your wins. Remember that true success is a marathon, not a sprint. The loudest, most lasting wins come from quiet, persistent effort over time. When the time is right, your achievements will speak so clearly that no words are necessary. In conclusion, winning quietly is a powerful strategy for sustainable success. It protects your energy, fosters humility, builds resilience, and cultivates authentic relationships. It allows you to create a legacy that outlasts temporary fame and applause. By focusing on silent growth and letting your results do the talking, you position yourself not just to win, but to win loudly, on your own terms, with integrity, and with lasting impact. Remember, the world will always be full of noise, but the winners who matter are those who choose silence as their strategy, humility as their strength, and results as their voice. Focus on you until you win, quietly, patiently, and powerfully.